wild week 2 it was. I asked myself, is there any possible way that week 2 could be better than what we saw in week 1? And the answer was a resounding yes. It was a full moon Saturday, upsets abound, a lot of craziness, a lot of freaky things happening in the world of college football. And here are my top 5 takeaways. Number 1, the new SEC is must-see TV. The Alabama-Texas game was an instant classic. Back and forth defensive struggle, Texas almost pulling off the upset with a hobbled backup quarterback in the game. It was great to see DKR Stadium rocking again, 105,000 people in attendance. The atmosphere looked great, and the game was an instant classic. This is a preview for what the new SEC is going to look like. And you can just imagine all sorts of insanely good matchups every week. Texas, Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas, Florida, Texas, Arkansas. Then duplicate that list with Oklahoma. I know everyone's excited about the Big Ten's media markets, but honestly, no one can compete with the quality of football in the new SEC. It's truly going to be must-see TV. Takeaway 2, Notre Dame sitting at 0-2 after dropping a home game to Marshall. A lot of people wondering, is it time to panic in South Bend? In week 3, Notre Dame's going to face California at home. Then they go on the road to visit North Carolina. Both of those games should be winnable for Notre Dame. So now is not the time to panic, but I certainly would be concerned if I were a Golden Domer. Takeaway number 3, speaking of panic, Texas A&M losing at home to Appalachian State. A lot of people in College Station wondering, is it time to panic? In week 3, Miami Hurricanes come into College Station. And not to be overly dramatic, but this game is going to determine the rest of Texas A&M's season. If the Aggies, though, can come up with a win against Miami in College Station, this will give them the confidence they need to begin that very tough SEC schedule. So if you're asking if it's time to panic, really it comes down to what happens in week 3 against Miami. Takeaway number 4, Scott Frost, yes, he's gone. After October the 1st, expect Scott Frost to be doing something else for a living. Nebraska just looks terrible, and they've looked terrible for several years now. It's time to move on. Scott Frost, a legend in the annals of Nebraska history. He is a Cornhusker for life, just not the right coach for the University of Nebraska. Takeaway number 5, the talks of the Big 12, Pac-12 merger starting to heat up again. One of the closing games of week 2 was a fantastic Baylor versus BYU double overtime shootout. It was a wonderful game. And that's a game that started at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. This is the much coveted and much discussed 4th window for college football TV. In seeing that BYU is moving into the Big 12 next season, if I'm the Big 12, I am putting every single conference home game for BYU in this time slot. BYU gets to be the showcase program in that time slot for every home game. The visiting Big 12 opponent can enjoy that same level of exposure. And as a whole, the Big 12 solidly places themselves inside that time slot for half of the season. Now, this doesn't mean the Big 12 will be done expanding. It doesn't mean the Big 12 should not have any interest in further Western expansion. But what it does do is offer the conference a solid foothold in that time slot. And quite honestly, the level BYU is playing, the Big 12 nightcap is probably going to be a lot better of a game than what we're going to see in the Pac-12. So the Big 12, I know there's a lot of talk of it looking for that 4th time slot, that 4th window. They already have it to a large extent with BYU starting in 2023. This is Kevin in Texas. I hope you enjoyed the full moon Saturday, the weird, wacky, upset Saturday as much as I did. I'll be back later in the week to preview week 3. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. God bless each and every one of you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.